Hello class, on this video lecture, we will talk about universal design. Universal design is the process of designing products so that they can be used by as many people as possible in as many situations as possible. This means particularly designing interactive systems that are usable by anyone with any range of abilities using any type of technology platform. This can be achieved by designing systems either to have built-in redundancy or to be compatible with assistive technologies. Examples for this type of designs are an interface that has both visual and audio access to commands, and also a website that provides text alternatives for graphics so that it can be read using a screen reader. In late 1990s, a group of North Carolina State University in the USA proposed 7 general principles of universal design. These were intended to cover all areas of design and are equally applicable to the design of interactive systems. These principles give us a framework in which to develop universal designs. So the first principle that they have created is equitable use. This means that the design is useful to people with a range of abilities and appealing to all. So meaning to say, dapat mataas yung level of flexibility ng interactive design which can be used by normal people or yung mga tao na differently able. The second one is it is related to equitable use, which is flexibility in use. The design allows for a range of ability and preference through choice of methods of use and adaptivity to the user's pace, precision, and also in custom. The third one is simple and intuitive to use, regardless of the knowledge, experience, and language or level of concentration of the user. The design needs to support the user's expectations and accommodate different languages and literacy skills. It should provide prompting and feedback as far as possible. The fourth principle for universal design is perceptible information. In here, the design should provide effective communication of information regardless of the environmental condition or the user's abilities. Or in other words, we have to provide an informative feedback for our users. Tolerance for error means minimizing the impact and damage caused by mistakes or unintended behavior, or yung tinatawag natin na slip. Potential dangerous situations should be removed or made hard to reach, as well as potential hazards should be shielded by warnings. Example nito guys is yung error trappings na pinoprovide ng mga programmers doon sa feature ng kanilang system. Next is the low physical effort, meaning to say the systems should be designed to be comfortable to use, or yung tinatawag natin na user friendliness of the system, minimizing physical effort and fatigue of our users. The seventh one is the size and space for approach and use. So the placement of the system should be such that it can reach and use by any user regardless of body size, posture, and mobility. So kung matatandaan nyo pa yung previous topics natin which talks about the environment of the system kung saan siya nakapwesto. So we have to consider those contexts in designing usable systems. So these 7 principles give us a good starting point in considering universal design. They are not equally applicable to all situations, but they provide a useful checklist of considerations for the designers, for us designers, together with guidelines on how each principle can be achieved. Now, let us move on to the multimodal interaction. Multimodal systems are those that use more than one human input channel in the interaction. So, since we are talking about universal design, we have to consider the different modes of interaction that can be used by our users. Including sound in the interface is one way to support multimodality. We know that sound is an important contributor to usability. There is experimental evidence to suggest that the addition of audio confirmation of modes in form of changes in key clicks reduces errors. There are 2 types of sound that can be used in the interface of our system. We can use speech or non-speech. We will have English language to understand the basic structure of speech. So there is what we call phonemes, which are atomic elements of speech. And in English language, there are 40 phonemes, despite of having just 26 letters in the English. And phonemes are represented by distinct sounds which have 24 consonants and 16 vowel sounds that can be used to alter the meaning and nature of an utterance. So the term prosody is the alteration in tone and quality of the phonemes. The tone and quality of the phonemes can be altered by having emphasis, stress, pauses, and pitch. Another term is co-articulation. It is the limitation in response speed which will make the phonemes sound differently when preceded by the different phonemes. And there is also what we call allophones, which represent all the different sounds within the language. The English language has 120 to 130 allophones, and it is the result of the co-articulation. And lastly, we have the morphemes. It represents the smallest unit of language that has meaning. And it is the basic building blocks of language rather than of the speech. But even being able to decompose sentences into their basic parts, it doesn't mean that we can understand them, which makes speech complex. Because aside from this structure, there are many other factors to consider when we are trying to use speech as a way of creating interaction between the user and the system itself. So there have been many attempts at developing speech recognition systems. We have the speech recognition. It offers another mode of communication that may be used to supplement existing channels or be the primary one. When a user's hands are already occupied, such as in a factory, speech may prove to be the ideal input of the medium or the ideal input medium. Commercial systems are now commonly and cheaply available, but still their success is limited because of the complexity of language. So let us take a look at the image of this phonetic typewriter. Phonetic typewriter is one of the early successful speech-based system. It is designed to produce typed output from speech input in Finnish. One reason that the phonetic typewriter was able to achieve acceptable levels of recognition and transcription is that Finnish is a phonetic language that is one which is spelled as it sounds. It is not like our English language. Now let us watch this video clip. I got this from Facebook, which represents speech in the interface of the system, or which uses speech recognition.
Hey, Jess.
Playing jazz.
Smoothie.
Making smoothie.
Calendar.
No meetings today. Remember, tandläkare at 9:30.
Fire off.
Fire off.
Open door.
Door open.
Så ska vi sätta en till.
Ah. Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open. Open door.
So can you see now the disadvantage of having speech recognition on systems?
Play.
Hindi na naiintindihan ng system yung sinasabi ng user.
Open door. Open door.
Error.
Hey, you with a rock? Open door. Higher.
Higher volume.
Higher.
Higher.
Okay, so there you have it, guys. So, napakahirap gumamit ng speech recognition pa rin ngayon when it comes on the interaction with the system. Kasi nga, napaka-complex niya to the point na masyadong marami tayong kailangang i-consider. Aside from the structure, we have to consider also the diction and the other languages and kung paano yung pronunciation ng isang tao. Kasi nga, we individuals or tayong mga users ay known to have individual differences. Kaya, ngayon, as of today, wala pa tayong masyadong system na gumagamit fully ng speech recognition. There are some parts ng system na merong speech recognition, but then hindi talaga siya fully integrated sa mismong system. So, moreover, let us have the different problems that arises when it comes on speech recognition. So, kagaya nung napanood natin sa video, background noise can interfere with the input, pausing or using continuation noises such as and to fill in gaps in their usual speech, and the variations between the individuals. Now, complementary to speech recognition is speech synthesis. It is the notion of being able to converse naturally with a computer is an appealing one for many users, especially those who do not regard themselves as computer literate, since it reflects their natural daily medium of expression and communication. Speech synthesis are for users who are blind or partially sighted. Synthesized speech or partially sighted. Synthesized speech offers an output medium which they can access. So example for this is the screen reader. It is a software package that read the contents of the computer screen using the synthesized speech. So it can help yung mga users natin na visually impaired kasi nga they do not have this ability to perceive the text or to perceive the interface visually. So, meron tayong screen readers. Moreover, we have these modern screen readers nowadays which can read more than simply the text on the screen. Can read exactly what they can find, including icons, menus, punctuation, and controls. So, aside from the text na pwedeng i-read ng previous type ng screen readers, ngayon yung mga screen readers na available sa market is pwede na din niyang i-read yung nilalaman ng whole interface, including the buttons, including the menu, icons, and punctuations. It can also read events such as dialog boxes opening so that they can be used with graphical interfaces. Speech synthesis is useful as a communication tool to assist people with physical abilities that affect their speech. Speech synthesis needs to produce output that is natural as possible with as little input effort from the user as possible, perhaps using a simple switch. But there are still problems when using speech synthesis, and one of them is that the spoken output cannot be reviewed or browsed easily. It is intrusive, requiring either an increase in noise in the office environment or the use of the headphones. So, using speech synthesis will create noise. So, kung nasa office ka, wala kang earphones, wala kang headphones, naka-on yung speaker mo, so it can create noise. It can disturb yung mga office mates mo. That makes it intrusive. We have also what we call uninterpreted speech, which are fixed pre-recorded messages used to supplement or replace visual information. Now let us look at the different level of speech interaction. Number 1 is recording. We can simply record and replay messages or annotation. The second level is transcription, turning the speech into text as in a word processor. And last level or the third level is control, which tells the computer what to do. For example, saying or uttering a speech command like this one, print this file, o kaya yung nasa video clip na pinanood natin kanina. So, from the voice command, magre-respond yung system. Yun nga lang, may mga problems pa rin na ma-encounter at mga disadvantages pa rin na pwedeng mangyari pag gumamit tayo ng voice command. So, nakita nyo naman dun sa video, nagbago yung pananalita niya kasi nga nagpabunot siya ng ngipin. So, from that scenario itself, we can tell that using speech is really complex. So, those are the different structures, levels, and examples of using speech in the interface of our system. Next, let us proceed on non-speech sound. These are commonly used in warnings and alarms. It is often used to provide transitory information such as indications of network or system changes or of errors. It can also be used to provide status information on background processes. We have auditory icons. These are natural sounds to represent different types of an object or action in the interface. Natural sounds have associated semantics which can be mapped onto similar meanings in the interaction. Example is throwing something away. So, kapag nag-throw ka ng something sa, let's say, when we relate it on the system, let's say mag-delete ka, so pwede kang gumamit ng sound of smashing glass. Okay, so the problem of auditory icons is that not all things have associated meaning. Not all things have the same meanings, especially when it comes on cultural differences. We can also use ear cons in integrating sound on the interface. These are synthetic sounds which serves as an alternative in using natural sounds. It uses motives to represent actions and objects. Motives are a structured combination of notes. They vary according to rhythm, speech, timbre, scale, and the volume of the sound. So, this is an example of ear cone. So, masyadong complicated itong type ng sound na pwede nating ilagay sa interface. So, we have two types of the combination for our ear cones. Meron tayong compound ear cones which combine different motives to build up a specific action or command. Okay, so example niya is combining the motives for the create and the file command of the system. And the second type of combination is the family ear cones. It represents compound ear cones represent compound ear cones of similar types. Example is yung operating system error and syntax errors would be in the error family. So those are the two types of combination of ear cones. Okay, so again, in using sound in the interface, we can use speech, non-speech, or ear cones.